Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasati.
Hare Krishna. We have our Bhagavad-gita again. Welcome, my name is Labangalatika. Maybe you have seen me read Bhagavad-gita before, because now we're in the middle of the second chapter, so we've been going on for a while. But we will continue. Bhagavad-gita as it is. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada translated the Bhagavad-gita, founded the ISKCON Hare Krishna movement. So I'm reading that Bhagavad-gita, and I will also speak a little bit. We are in the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized, and this is text 33. Atachetvam idang dharmyang sangramang na karishyasi tatasva dharmam kirting cha hitva papam avapsyasi. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sin for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Purport. Arjuna was a famous fighter, and he attained fame by fighting many great demigods, including even Lord Shiva. After fighting and defeating Lord Shiva in the dress of a hunter, Arjuna pleased the Lord and received as a reward a weapon called Pashupata Astra. Everyone knew that he was a great warrior. Even Dronacharya gave him benedictions and awarded him the special weapon by which he could kill even his teacher. So he was credited with so many military certificates from many authorities, including his adoptive father Indra, the heavenly king. But if he abandoned the battle, not only would he neglect his specific duty as a Kshatriya, but he would lose all his fame and good name and thus prepare his royal road to hell. In other words, he would go to hell not by fighting, but by withdrawing from battle. Yes. So these arguments from Krishna, Krishna is giving the well-rounded information so that Arjuna can make a decision. So sometimes we hear about religious book where God comes and he says, do this or I will smite you with the fire or something. Krishna does not speak like that to Arjuna, because they have a very friendly relationship, and second, Krishna is respecting us, the living entities. He's respecting our choice, our free will. Later in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna will tell Arjuna, now I have told you everything. You think about it and then you do what you find best. So we have to use our intelligence. And therefore Krishna gives Arjuna all the, knowledge from all the angles. So one angle is, of course, that the spirit soul is eternal, eternally a servant of Krishna. And when we are connected to Krishna in such loving service, then we can reach perfection. Then everything will fall into place. But there are all the other arguments as well. Arjuna, he's not just a principle, he's a person. And he's a very famous Kshatriya warrior in his time. And, we have people who are famous. They may be the fastest person on the racetrack, or they may be the best tennis player or something. We do not hear of anybody who has been defeating Lord Shiva in battle and has been in contact with Lord Indra, the demigods, because in this age they don't come here so much. We don't hear about them like that. So Arjuna, he's very famous, and if you're very famous, or if you're respected, or if you have a certain position, to lose it is actually very painful. So Krishna tells Arjuna to be aware of this, to not make some artificial show of renunciation, because it's not required. It's not required in spiritual life. Sometimes we do have to decide to give something up because it becomes an impediment in our spiritual life, but we can't give ourselves up as such. We have a certain nature. Sometimes we can. Prabhupada often uses the word dovetail, which I understand is a term used in craft when you work with wood and you are connecting wood in a certain way. You use the word dovetail. So we are supposed to do that. We can dovetail our nature, our interests, our abilities in Krishna's service. Then we will make spiritual advancement, but we will also be able to be very steady, long-term, active in spiritual life. Whereas sometimes there is an emergency and we have to act outside of our nature, and we can do that for a while, but it doesn't make us strong and peaceful in the long term. And it's interesting, he would go to hell not by fighting but by withdrawing from battle. The knowledge of how karma works, how these natural laws work, it's a little bit subtle, it's not always apparent. Sometimes we like to say that for every action there is a equal and a reaction that is exactly the same. Well, that's a physical law. Karmic laws, of course, they are very fair and they are very exact, but if we don't know how they work, sometimes we can draw the wrong conclusions. So that we will continue in the third chapter about, it's called Karma Yoga. It's all about activities, action, karma, how it actually works. If we don't have that knowledge, we can just decide, oh, this is good, so I will do it, and this is bad, and I will not do it. Often, of course, our intuition, our heart will lead us somewhat in the right direction, but when we don't have the full picture, when we don't have the full knowledge, it's difficult to draw the right conclusion and make the right choices and decisions in life. I will read another verse, text 34. Akirting chapi bhutani kathayishyanti te vyayam sambhavitasya cha kirtir maranad ati richyate. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. Purport. Both as friend and philosopher to Arjuna, Lord Krishna now gives his final judgment regarding Arjuna's refusal to fight. The Lord says, Arjuna, if you leave the battlefield before the battle even begins, people will call you a coward. And if you think that people may call you bad names, but that it will save your life by fleeing the battlefield, then my advice is that you do better to die in the battle. For a respectable man like you, ill fame is worse than death. So you should not flee for fear of your life. Better to die in the battle. That will save you from the ill fame of misusing my friendship and from losing your prestige in society. So the final judgment of the Lord was for Arjuna to die in the battle and not to withdraw. So we need a little perspective to be able to think like this. That's why the beginning here we hear all about the soul, all about how it actually works. We have this life in a human body, and we may plan and we may live and we may find some happiness on that platform as well. But if we don't have the knowledge of cause and effect, of where we're going, then the result may not be what we wanted or what we expected. So Krishna is giving that knowledge. Now he's speaking to Arjuna more directly to him as a person in his situation. So now Krishna is speaking more directly to Arjuna as a person in his specific situation, but without the preliminary knowledge that he's not this body, then how can you tell a person it's better to die if you don't know that you're eternal? So, but we know that already, and Arjuna knows that too. You live in this life, and then you leave this body, and you continue in the next life. And if you perform activities that are not good in the long-term absolute sense, then the results will depend on that. So Krishna is giving the advice here that to not do your duty is not good for yourself, for your eternal spirit soul, for society at large, or for anybody. And for you personally, if you think that you avoid the battle and then you won't die, because dying is not very nice. But actually, dying is painful, yes. But after you die, you will live again. And then you will live based on the activities in this life. So if you do your prescribed duties, if you are part of a Varnashram society where you know your prescribed duties, or at this time we find out as best as we can from the Bhagavad-gita what are right actions and what are wrong actions. And just deciding that this doesn't feel good, this will not necessarily mean that those activities will give the best result. So we want to find out these things. And living like that, bereft of all your usual life with your friends, the respect you have, it is very painful. And maybe at this point Arjuna is not thinking about it, but Krishna is reminding him, take all these things into consideration. Don't make a hasty decision. I will take one more verse here, text 35. Payadrana duparatang mangsyante tvang maharatha yeshang chatvang bahumato bhutva yusyasi laghavam. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Purport. Lord Krishna continues to give his verdict to Arjuna. Do not think that great generals like Duryodhana, Karna and other contemporaries will think that you have left the battlefield out of compassion for your brothers and grandfather. They will think that you have left out of fear for your life, and thus their high estimation of your personality will go to hell. Text 36. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Purport. Lord Krishna was astonished in the beginning at Arjuna's uncalled for plea for compassion, and he described his compassion as befitting the non-Aryans. Now, in so many words, he has proved his statement against Arjuna's so-called compassion. Yeah, we spoke about this earlier, that in some of the verses it is pointed out that Arjuna, the reason for his compassion is that his high spiritual elevation, that he's able to feel compassion towards those persons who are attacking him, those persons who are cheating him out of his birthright, who are planning and plotting his death from his childhood. This has been going on. And at this point, Krishna has concluded there's nothing else to do. We are supposed, the Pandava brothers, they are supposed to do their duty, to protect the people, to rule, to administer a kingdom. It doesn't have to be a big kingdom. They asked, can we have a village? We don't mind. We just want to do our duty. And Duryodhana laughs at them. No, not as much land as you can stick a pin in. That's his final verdict. And Krishna says, okay, this is the end of the road. We're not getting anywhere in these negotiations. So this is a battle. And so Arjuna's prime motivation is actually to be able to do his duty in society, both material and spiritual. And he's unable to. There is this obstacle, and the only way through this obstacle is through this battle, very specific situation. So Arjuna's compassion is also a sign of his highly elevated consciousness. He's able to look at these people. They have been trying to kill him all his childhood. He knows this. He knows what they're like. He knows the quality of them. And still he feels, yeah, maybe they are stooping to this level, but I don't have to. I can care about them. I don't have to put myself first. I can be the better person. And that's what he's trying to do. But on the other hand, this decision is also colored by his, his illusion. A little bit of illusion is there, that he's thinking this is family, this is life, this is all there is. And it isn't all there is. There is a bigger picture. The fact that we are stuck in this material world, lifetime after lifetime, whereas we're actually spirit soul eternally belonging in the spiritual world and in the human form of life. This should be the first priority. Duties can be different, situations can be different. We are not all required, obviously, to be in Arjuna's position. But Krishna is asking us to have the same priorities, to find out the truth, to learn what spiritual life means, to find out what our duties are, to become steadfast and peaceful and like pure and strong in that sense. And then, if something happens that is insignificant, so maybe it looks like a good thing, but if it takes too much focus, there are many things that are good. We want to clean up the land and the oceans from all plastic. But if somehow or another our mission against plastic takes up our life so much that we can no longer put the time aside for our spiritual life, then whether the oceans are full of plastic or not, we are going to die. And everybody in this world, we are all going to die and take birth again. So all these things, there are very many good things. We need teachers, we need doctors, we need somebody to clean up the oceans, we need somebody to get a grip on how we use, energy or pollute the planet, so on. All these things are important. But the most important thing for ourselves is to realize our spiritual nature, and for everybody else is to give them the same opportunity. So Arjuna, if the Pandava brothers are ruling the kingdom under Krishna's, I shouldn't say supervision, but under his direction, then this will benefit everybody. So therefore, you have to get that kind of perspective. I will take one more verse. Hatova prapassi svargang jitva va bhokshyase mahim tasmad utishta kaunteya yudhaya krita nishchayaha. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Purport. Even though there was no certainty of victory for Arjuna's side, he still had to fight. For even being killed there, he could be elevated into the heavenly planets. So that's a very well-rounded presentation of the different reasons to take into consideration when you make your decision. The main thing is your spirit soul, but how does that translate into this situation? And how does Arjuna's doubts, how valid are they in the context? So Krishna has given all these things, and we are very, we appreciate the fact that we have access to Krishna's words. So we like to read Bhagavad-gita and get a little bit into all these different aspects. And here, I kind of feel that these arguments, they are geared more towards Arjuna's material side, They will respect you now, and then they will laugh at you. But that is also part of the whole picture, who we are, how we will be best able to function in this world. That is important because it also afflicts our ability to perform Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much. I hope you will continue to hear the Bhagavad-gita with me. And if there is any questions and comments at all, I would very much like to see them in the comment fields. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vande